a monster.
I'm your number one fan.
Now clear your minds. You know what scares you. It has from the very beginning.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
It's been informed that zombies have entered the building. They're at the door. They're coming in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. I'm your host, as always, Corey, and alongside me is my good pal, Tony. What's going on, brother?
Not much, man. We're back, baby. Finally.
We're back.
Yeah.
We're doing it again.
Took a little hiatus there for a minute.
Yeah, we did. You kind of went on vacation, and I was working.
Yep. You kind of started the new gig, so yeah, the timing was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, I came back from vacation, man, feeling reinvigorated, ready to go, ready to get into some films, ready to talk about some films, especially considering we're deep into our summer slasher series as of right now. We're a month in strong, and I've been enjoying it so far. I've been keeping tabs on all the slasher films I've watched so far, and I think I'm up to 10 now. I think it's 10, so yeah. From when we started, so including the ones that we've covered already. So
I'm gonna be honest with you. I have not been keeping tabs, but I'm glad that you went camping in the woods and and you made it back.
It's true, man. Yeah,
Especially.
kind of makes sense, and it kind of fits the theme of this one, especially. I mean, we're going to be talking about summer camp slasher film, so kind of worked out pretty good there.
Yes, it is.
Only thing that would have made it better is if we were talking about maybe the Evil Dead, because I did stay in a cabin. So, yeah.
But yeah, we're back. We're doing it.
Back.
Fun. It's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Back.
You're happy. Everyone's happy.
Everybody's happy.
Happy. Oh man, so what film? Well, okay. So before we get started, let's just cover the bases, folks. Folks, if you haven't told your friends and family yet about us, let them know. We would love to have them, and come over and check us out on Facebook. So, yeah, let them know. Like, share, and subscribe. And check us out on our Facebook page, where we're posting funny memes, stuff like that. I posted one the other day, kind of in honor of the slasher. Did you see the one where it was Jason?
Jason underwater with Dory and
I was like, oh, this is cute. I'm gonna do this.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I like that one.
So we post stuff like that all the time in there, guys. So come over, join, have a laugh, and just start up a conversation. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, we definitely do that, and we definitely there's been a lot of posts about opinions and everybody's opinion on this. I've seen a couple of posts about their collections, which I love. I love posts when people post their collections and stuff like that. It's really cool, really good to see everybody's taste and stuff like that. So man, if you're in the group now and you got your collection going strong, post a pic in the Facebook group, man. Let's check them out.
Yeah, definitely.
Dig on that.
Mine is currently under construction. So I got to get some shelving up. Right now mine are still in boxes and now piling up everywhere else because I have no room for them.
Right, yeah. You've hit the wall, man.
Yeah, literally.
Space now.
Got to get more space.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Tony, what are we doing tonight?
Corey, we are checking out 1981's Madman, aka Madman Mars.
I love that.
Yeah, me too, man.
I really like his name. So supposedly, if I'm not mistaken, I think I read this or something, but his original name was actually Cropsey.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently that at the time they were writing the Legend of Cropsey, aka The Burning.
The Burning, yeah.
You know, so they had to change the name of of the character to Madman Mars, which I feel is very effective.
Yeah, me too.
I like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I like a crazy farmer that's just off his rocker and he just starts going on a spree and
Yeah.
yeah, everything about the character, Madman. I mean, we're definitely going to get into Madman himself, but yeah, the character is really really cool, really dope. I love the tale of his story to the group when they're around the campfire and they're explaining the legend of Madman and what he did and why he's so well known. Well, not so much well known, but he's just like the urban legend, right? He just gets brought up in on campfire tales and stuff like that, and he's that just urban legend. So it's
Mhm.
really cool to see. I love when they open the film like that and they sing the song and then they get into it. It reminds me a lot of The Fog.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I wrote that down on my notes. I'm like, this has so many fog elements to it in the beginning. How they bring up the legend and stuff. I mean, of course, Friday 13 does it. I mean, but I don't know. The first thing I thought of was the fog with the story and just
Mhm.
if you're watching it for the first time and you've never seen it before, it just sucks you right in the beginning with
Yeah.
the song and the story and the tale. It's fantastic.
You know, it really reminded me of the last scene in The Burning,
Nice.
that
Yeah.
opening scene. And but there again, they didn't piggyback off one another, because they came out at the same time.
Right.
So it's just really cool how you always got that feel, from those type of movies around that era.
Mhm.
So I like that.
It's pretty interesting, man, when you look into it and stuff like that with the Cropsey legend and stuff like that. How many movies were
Mhm.
based off the legend and around, of course, coming out around the same time as well. So it's almost like it's just like a happy accident. All these movies are dropping at pretty much at the same time, based on the same legend, and just taking different spins and takes on it.
Yeah.
It's fast, man.
Yeah.
It builds up to horror lore, especially from 80 to 81, the peak and just the pinnacle years of horror history. It's just so cool that there's so many nuances to it. But yeah, man, getting into it, do you wanna do the brief plot on it, or just get into like scene by scene what we're thinking? And because I
Mhm.
mean, I got to say about this one, I'm sure you do too.
Well, yeah, so quick synopsis. Um, Basically, these camp counselors are all around a campfire. Uh, I guess they're kind of just pretty much just sitting around a campfire. This is kind of their last little hoorah before the end of the camping season, and all the kids go home and they go back to their normal lives in the city. Camp counselor, the main, I don't know what you would call him, the owner of the place. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he pretty much told them the story of the legend of Madman Mars, who, basically axe murdered his entire family. Lives in the house just beyond the trees of where they're having this little hurrah, because it makes sense to have it right there. And if you whisper his name, or if you say his name just under a whisper, he will come and fuck you up.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then apparently one of the kids gets really ballsy, and he's just like, "Hey, Madman, fuck you!" And
Yeah. Rich. Oh, Richie.
yeah, and yeah, and then he sees Madman up in the trees, and Madman's like, "I'm gonna murder that kid."
Which to me is a great shot. That's a great shot. I love Madman in the trees and
I
him
couldn't.
him look.
I wouldn't have wanted anything better like that. The silhouette of Madman in the trees right there, just very ominous. I
That's
love it.
another. So many good silhouettes of Madman in this movie too. They do a lot of shots of him with
Yeah.
the lighting and stuff behind him and stuff like that. It's really really dope, dude. I think it's interesting that most of the slashers we think of that take place in a summer camp, they kind of start at the beginning of the camp. Like sleepaway camp, of course, starts at the beginning. Friday the 13th, they're getting it ready, stuff like that. This one is a little different. It takes place at the end, so camp has been going on, and they're kind of winding it down, and the kids are
Mhm.
going to go home soon, so they're kind of doing, like you said, one last hurrah, one last big celebration kind of thing. I think that's really cool. I think that's really unique too, because you don't really get that a lot
Mhm.
with the summer camp slasher films. I mean, usually, like I said, it's usually the beginning of the camping season, and people are starting. Usually, the counselors are starting to get ready. Now the kids are already here, and not in. To be honest, I mean, in a lot of summer camp slashers, the kids don't really show up either. So that's pretty cool too. I mean,
The kids really weren't a big part of this movie, and that's different.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like Sleepaway Camp, you saw the kids.
Yeah.
You know, and then some of the Friday the 13th, again, I believe you do see the kids. The burning, the kids were involved. But this go round, it was just strictly about the counselors.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the kids, but barely.
Yeah. They didn't play an integral part. I mean, they did it toward the end, but no kids were harmed in the making of the slasher film. So it was mainly the counselors and, the staff. So
there was 2 kids that did get it.
Right, technically. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You know what I found myself wondering though is when the whole shot of like Madman, when he's telling the story about Madman and the whole murder sequence is happening.
Oh, the edits in there.
Well, no, my thing is if your family's getting hacked up by an axe, I mean, you're gonna hear screaming, stuff like that. Like these kids were just like sleeping, and he was just walking in and just axing them.
Yeah.
So I really just I wasn't like getting that. I was like it would have been alarming.
What I noticed with him is he usually goes for the head first, so that kind of silences the noise and stuff like that. I did notice that.
Yeah.
Really, with I think the wife, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, my thing was that I was going to bring up was when TP's singing the song, when they're starting before they even get into the story. TP's singing the song, and they edit in the kills throughout the movie. I hate that, man. I don't like when movies do that. I really don't think it's necessary. Kind of spoils what you're going to see later on. That's one thing I really just did not enjoy and did not like. I wish they would have done away with that completely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think, man? That's just my opinion, but
I agree. Honestly, I could have done without his terrible singing altogether.
Well, I like the song in the beginning. Yeah.
Oh, the song was cool, but he just was terrible.
We'll get into that. Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get to that part. But yeah, I just wasn't a fan of them editing in the murder sequences and stuff during that.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. That's one of my problems with the film. I've got a couple problems, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
Actually, that's probably the major one. Honestly, before we dive deeply into this, what's your thoughts on this never becoming a franchise? Because personally, I think that this could have been a runner-up to Jason, hands down. I think the Legend, because not so much a full-fledged franchise, but 3 or 4 movies. Well, I mean that we do consider that to be franchise. But
yeah, when it's 4, when it gets to 4, you're getting into franchise territory. When it's 3, it's just a trilogy. But when you get to that 4th one and you keep going, that's when you really become franchise, in my estimation. But no, yeah. I've went through that over the years of me being a horror fan. These slasher villains from the 80s, why some of them never got sequels and stuff like that. And I've went back and forth with it. I'm kind of glad it hasn't happened. Then sometimes I'm like, man, I kind of wish it did happen because I'd love to hear more stories and just more kill. When we're talking about, I think of Madman, of course, and I think of Cropsey, and of course the amazing My Bloody Valentine that was never given a sequel. I think about that's one I'm just like, I love the Harry Warden character, the minor character, and I think it just would have been where I'm at now, because I kind of, like I said, changed over the years. I've kind of flip-flopped back and forth with it. Where I'm at now, I'm kind of glad that they are standalones because they really stand out more. Yeah, it would have been cool. I mean, I wouldn't have been opposed to having sequels, especially one like The Burning. Even though when you watch the end of The Burning, it's like, damn, how? I mean, they figured out ways to do it, so it's possible they could have done it. But still, I would have loved a sequel to The Burning. That little teaser poster to The Burning that they created and stuff like that really got me jazzed up for it. That's when I was really into, like, man, I want to see sequels to all these classic to me anyway, classic slasher villains from the 80s that never really got their just due. But
Still
yeah,
could happen though. I mean, look at the Mutilator.
yeah, that's a perfect
mean,
example. I still can't
They're
believe
coming out with a sequel right now.
I still can't believe that's happening. This just blows my mind. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Oh, man.
I'm not opposed to it by any means. But
Mhm.
like I said, these films stand out on a pedestal because they're just one and done. Like
I agree to that,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I'm just like, man, it would be cool to have, Madman Mars. Like I said, almost kind of like a Victor Crowley situation, or just 3 or 4 films. I think would have been awesome. But I
It would.
mean, and there again, like Victor Crowley is very iconic.
Mhm.
And then of course just the overwhelming cast that are in each film.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know, just those films work for me.
Well, you know me, I'm never.
But I could also see Hatchet being a direct standalone as well, and it worked.
Well, I mean, it worked for us. I mean, I remember going to the video store when you were working a movie gallery, and you recommended Hatchet, and I'm like, this looks cool. I mean, it said old school American horror on the cover. It had the Well, it had the Hatchet on the front, and it just looks so perfect and standard. And like, this is what I'm talking about. This is this kind of movie I want. I mean, I didn't expect the comedy to be so heavy in it, but the fact that the gore was just plentiful was just like, oh man, this is perfect. It's got everything in a slasher film. I mean, honestly. Um, yeah, to answer your question, man, I'm never going to be opposed to more carnage, more kills in my slashers, and of course, adding sequels to these movies would have added to body counts, and it would have been great to see. I mean, it would have been hard for them to stand out from, of course, the icons of the '80s, but I mean, giving them sequels and stuff like that, they could have had a shot.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess because of the slasher boom kind of ending and stuff like that, they didn't really have faith the sequels would do good.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because I mean, usually horror does well in the box office, so because they're so cheap to make and they always return. So it's pretty interesting what certain studios were thinking back then, but I guess they just didn't have any faith in it.
Yeah.
So, but they did for a long time talk about remaking this film, which I honestly blown away because they were talking about. I don't know if listeners out there are familiar with wrestling, but they were talking about a famous wrestler named Kurt Angle playing Madman Mars, which would have been really interesting. I honestly, I would have loved to have seen that remake just to see what they were going to do with it. But
That would
that
be
felt.
interesting to have like a new twist to it, or it's more modern twist.
It's just interesting, like
That'd be cool.
think of someone like some stuntman that's been around for a while, maybe portraying Madman, but no, Kurt Angle of all people. I just thought that was really unique. It's one of my brother's favorite wrestlers, so I just thought about him when I heard that. I'm like, that's wild, man. But yeah, they were talking for a while about a remake, and I guess it just ended up in developmental hell and just never came to be.
COVID probably happened.
Oh no, this was a while ago, man. This was
Before COVID.
Yeah, this was a long time ago when Angle was at his peak in popularity. I guess I don't know, talking about making the switch to mainstream films and putting him in there. I don't know, but yeah, I did hear that at one point.
I do. Before we go on, and I'm glad that this is Slasher Month or the Slasher series and everything. So I've got a cool story to tell everyone and you because you're gonna love this. I was working with a guy, and we were traveling because we had to actually travel out of town to go work on some trucks. And upon us coming back, we were talking about the podcast and we were talking about horror films and how he doesn't like horror films. And okay, everyone has their opinion,
Oh,
But then he said that he remembers watching a movie at the drive-in opening night, and it was Halloween. And he shared what it was like watching that on the big screen at a drive-in, and I was just like goosebumps, and I was cheesing bad in that truck.
holy shit, man!
Yeah.
Mm.
It's pretty cool.
Definitely an experience I would love to have. Love to see Halloween on the
Yeah.
big. Oof, that would be amazing.
That would have been cool. But yeah. Back to Madman. Sorry, I just had to share that before it slipped my mind again.
Cool. I love that. You know, I love hearing this shit. I love playing that game where people go to you and ask you, "Hey, I saw a movie. I can't remember the title. It was a long time ago, and this scene happened." And then me and you play this game all the time with people where they tell us that, and we're like, "Oh, it's that movie," and they're like, "Holy shit, we just make their day because they've been thinking about that movie for years."
Yeah, like 10 years. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I love that, man. I did that recently with a coworker. I don't mean to go on a tangent, but he saw a movie a long time ago. He couldn't remember the title. All he remembered was there was a killer Santa, and he was running around with an axe. I was like, "Oh, Silent Night, Deadly Night." And then he looked it up. He's like, "Wow, that's the movie. I remember the cover now and everything." I'm like, "See, I love doing that stuff, man."
Yeah.
Fantastic. But yeah. Back to it, man. I love the opening title card. The way it looks with the red and the Madman, it's just so nice, dude. So classic 80s. And I did notice when they were going around the campfire, they said that they were a camp for gifted children. I'm like, I don't know what that's all about. Maybe that's just his phrase that he used because he's kind of like an ex-hippie guy, and I don't know, looked at the kids differently as their own special being. I don't know. I just thought that was curious. I never really picked up on that phrase before when he was describing the camp, but I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that's all about. I wonder how they're gifted.
These gifted children have life.
Yeah, exactly. That's this hippie dude, this old hippie guy. But yeah. So how'd you end up watching it, man? Because I think I know what you ended up watching it on, but
Blu-ray.
I pulled out an OG for this one. I pulled out the OG Anchor Bay for this bad boy
Ooh,
because
that's such a cool cover.
there was a big controversy when Code Red was going to put this out because there's something about Madman. There's a blue hue to this movie that looks fantastic that they did with the cinematography. There's a lot of blue in this movie and stuff like that. Well, the Code Red edition kind of did away with a lot of that stuff, so the fans were pissed when that edition came out, and they were like almost boycotting Code Red when they put that out.
Wow.
It was bad. I remember it to this day, dude. There was a lot of hate that Bill from Code Red got for that.
There are some scenes that are just straight up blue.
Yeah.
Because like the scene, like the next day scene with where the noose is up in the tree cut in half.
Yeah.
It's blue and stuff.
There's a lot. I mean, you can even see on the back of the DVD. I mean, the blue. I love they added that with the cinematography. The lighting is fucking. One of my favorite things about Madman is the cinematography, dude. It's beautiful.
It really is.
I love seeing that.
Yeah. Good camera work.
Yep. So yeah, I pulled out the OG Anchor Bay for this one.
That's awesome.
I'm pretty sure you pulled out the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray for this. I thought so. I was thinking about popping mine in too, but I don't know. Just I get in moods sometimes where I want to watch the DVDs of some of these flicks, and I just love that blue hue. It just sucks me right in out of it. So I had to pull out the OG. But
nice.
Yeah, dude. I just had to bring that up. But there's something really cool that I was going to ask you about. I know that the head counselor, I can't remember his name. I always forget his name. The older guy that's telling the story.
Yeah.
When he's telling the tale, you can see kind of Madman kind of looking out at the group and everything like that. But so I was wondering, and he even mentions this, but I just wanted to get your take on it. You think if Richie never said anything to provoke him, you think that everything would have been fine and Madman wouldn't have attacked the group?
I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, ask me that question in a minute again. Yes. Okay, give me a hug. Come on. You're supposed to be in bed. Love you. Go.
Night.
Good night. Go. Sorry.
Oh, you're good, buddy.
Let me timestamp that real quick.
All right.
Okay. Go get in bed. All right. Sorry. So ask me the question again.
So I know the head counselor, for some reason I keep forgetting his name. When he is talking about Madman, he says, if you say his name above a whisper, it'll provoke him, and this and that. So when he says that, it provokes Richie, the smartass that he is, to talk shit to Madman. But Madman's already kind of sizing them up and watching them kind of even before that happens. So I'm wondering if Richie just kept his mouth shut and he didn't say anything, would Madman have ever attacked the group or what? Because, I mean, he said, based on what the head counselor said, if you provoke him, he's going to come after you. But no one was provoking him until Richie's dumbass got up there and started yelling at him and screaming at him and just talking mad shit to him. So I was kind of curious. I'm like, if Richie just kept his mouth shut, would Madman even have fucked with him? Would he have left him alone? Were they too close to his house? Is that what provoked him? I don't know. I mean,
I think I strictly just believe just that. I think the head counselor knows the rules here, because he doesn't even. It's weird because it's like he's selling it, but at the same time, it's like it's just a campfire story,
right.
And he's like, I love the way he says Madman Mars, because he's like he actually like whispers it, and it's like
Which is cool.
It works for that scene. Yeah, Richie, I think all the blood is on Richie's hands. Fucking bastard.
Well, so,
I think
maybe because he was playing it up to the group, because after Richie does that, he says, "Hey, Mars, he didn't mean it. He's just a kid. He doesn't know. He's young and foolish, and this is nice." Like he's trying to tell Madman, like, we don't mean you any harm or anything like that. I think he's kind of just playing up to the group a little bit with that, but even still, it might be him saying, "Hey, I really believe this story, and I don't want to piss him off."
Yeah, I mean, if you were told a story, all your life, or at least all your career, and then you got some punk ass kid that actually just fucking neglects everything you just said and goes for it, that would make you. Well, we don't know. He could be very superstitious,
That's what makes it to me more interesting, the lore of Madman Mars and what it is that really truly provoked him to come after the group. Was it that they were so close, or was it that Richie was talking mad shit? I don't know. It could have been both those things.
TP singing.
It could have been TP singing.
TP's belt buckle.
Right. That famous belt buckle, right.
Who the fuck wears their name on their belt buckle?
TP does, man.
That dude is awesome.
Yeah. But that's what I love about this movie is the lore, and they build up this character, and they do it so subtly with little things, and when we get to more the meat of the movie in the middle, and I'll bring up another point, but it's really cool to see Fran from Dawn of the Dead in here, Galen Ross. Wow, like I remember when I first saw this, I was like, holy shit, I did not expect to see her in a slasher flick. I mean, it just blew me away. Just I don't know, just she's horror royalty, man. For her being Fran,
she survived the apocalypse only to fucking get hung on meat hooks.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Spoiler. When we get into that, I'll just say what I love about that scene. But yeah, it was just cool to see her in this, and then for her to be such a Debbie Downer and be like, tell them, hey, you can't tell this story to the kids. You're really scaring them. Well, that's the fucking point of telling like these stories around a campfire. The kids are supposed to get scared. But she's being all, I called her Debbie Downer because, I mean, kids are having fun. They're having a good time with it. And she's just like trying to spoil everybody's good time. So she her character really irks me a little bit in this. I mean, in this movie.
Annoying. Very annoying. There's a couple characters that are very annoying.
Right.
The ditzy ass chick that decides to hide in a refrigerator. I mean, come on, Madman. That scene really kind of gets to me because it's like Madman is like he's like 2 feet away from her, and she's like plowing everything out of this refrigerator all over the floor just to hide in the refrigerator. Okay,
it's like,
motherfucker is not stupid. He's gonna see all the shit and go, bitch is in the refrigerator, I bet you.
he's
I'm gonna
gonna
wait right here. She'll be out in just a split second. Sure as shit, here she comes. Axe, done.
her death scene was so good though, man. I love it.
She,
It reminds me of
wait, which scene? The scene of the axe or the scene of the shotgun to the face?
well, both are fucking awesome, but the axe when it comes out and it hits her, it's like it reminds me of what's her name in Friday Part 4, Sarah when she gets it in the chest with the axe. I just, oh my god, dude, something about like I love that in a slasher flick, man, or any horror flick when someone gets axed with an axe in the chest. It's just so brutal. And then the cherry on top of that was the shotgun blast. Like, oh my god, so amazing.
Yeah.
So incredible. There's a lot of like interesting kills, and one in particular that's so I love when they do that. It's another kill that happens. I've seen it before, but it's one of my favorites. Is the decapitation with the truck hood. Yeah, dude, so incredible. Such a clean one too. It's like, nah, it wouldn't have happened that way, but it still looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty neat looking. But yeah, I just getting into what my favorite thing about this movie. One of my favorite things about this movie, and when we talk about slasher films, one thing I appreciate is when the slasher villain is stalking his victims. And that's what you get with Madman. There's so many scenes of him stalking these people. I love that, dude, because that to me is like the bread and butter of a slasher film. When you have the slasher villain stalking people, it's fantastic. So well done, so atmospheric. Every time you kind of turn around and someone's walking around, you have Madman behind them getting ready to strike or getting ready to land that death blow and stuff like that. And it's just you get that little stinger, the music stinger too. I fucking love that, man. Hands down, one of my favorite things about this movie is the fact that he is stalking the counselors. I love it. It's not just showing up and then a quick kill and then boom, he's gone. You don't see him and then he shows up, boom, quick kill. No, he's fucking pacing around, stalking these people, waiting for a good time to strike.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that there was a lot of scenes, and again, once again, a similarity. The scenes where he's like peering into the windows of these cabins and stuff, and spying in on TP and what's her name in the hot tub, the sexy hot tub scene.
Scene. Oh.
I could have done without that.
Oh, they could have omitted that scene from the movie, and I would have been completely fine with it. It's just it's like the movie's going, and then it just comes to a screeching halt when that happens. It's like, no, just keep the momentum going, keep the atmosphere going. Don't sow this completely out of place scene with the music. It's like, oh god, dude, it's just it's a headache, man.
Yeah.
So bad, man.
It's pretty terrible. Yeah, the editing, some of the things could have been cut out. One of the things, though, that I did want to bring up, and I'm curious to find out if you saw this or not. There is a scene where TP and I keep forgetting her fucking name. What's her name?
Oh, Galen Ross's character?
Yeah.
Frank.
We didn't write down names.
No.
I know TP because he's like the most annoying character.
He's a belt buckle too. I mean, come on.
Belt buckle, yeah. And I mean the hair alone.
It's like
Jeff Goldblum. He looks like a charismatic Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, everybody's got that perfect New York accent too, man. Richie, DP's got it. I love it.
But anyways, what I was getting at. So the scene where TP goes to find Richie, right? And his girlfriend, I forget her fucking name. She's standing there with him, right? And you can see a silhouette of Madman off in the distance or whatever. He's stalking him, like you said. There's a quick glimpse of a cat underneath the fucking cabin behind him. Did you notice that?
No.
And
If
it's straight up like scratching at the ground, like about to take a mean shit.
if I did, I would have brought it up.
I'm bringing it up. There is a cat there. Yeah, I was paying more attention to that fucking cat. Like, is that cat gonna take a shit? What's the cat doing? It's just like straight up scratching at the ground.
Yeah, I think I've got into this before, but you know my tangent on cat jump scares. They're so cheap.
That's just it. It's just like a random ass scene where I think it's purely accidental. Like that camp just had a fucking cat there, and it just so happened to be taking a shit on screen.
I'm not even going to get into cat jump scares, and I'm not even going to get on that alone. But yes, I'm with you. I didn't see that. No, I did not see that, but I'm glad.
You're going to look for it next time, aren't you?
I will. I'll keep an eye out. I did. I pay attention so much to him stalking and the cool ways they do that with the shots and oh man, the one that we were talking about with him in the trees, fucking amazing.
I like how it's always just a dark silhouette of him too, which just makes it that much more ominous, and I love that.
Yes, thank you. So ominous, so creepy. It works for me. I love it. Fucking love it, man.
Yep.
Stop.
I mean, you had like even Michael Myers did that. Michael Myers, but you saw him. You know, he wasn't afraid to But if it was just the shape,
yeah,
it would have been that much more. Like the scene where he's popping out slowly behind Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh,
that's creepy. That's so fucking ominous
and amazing. One of my favorite things. I love Halloween, dude, and that's why I love the way that they frame shots around Myers and him being the one I think about in particular is when he's fucking around with Annie. Mm-hmm. It's brilliant, man. When he's outside in the patio, oh my god, don't even get me started. We'll do Halloween, and we need
to do Halloween.
Oh my god, I'll bring up all that shit. But yeah, that's my favorite thing about this. The kills were pretty solid. Madman doing his thing, stalking. Yeah. Just him with an axe. That poster is so iconic. I have the poster up in my room just because I love that silhouette of him. Something about slasher villains with the silhouette and the weapon and stuff like that. I love that on posters. So every one of them I can find, I get.
Yeah.
But yeah, that poster to me is iconic. It's amazing.
I like the whole sword in the stone bit.
Yeah. Oh, that
the film.
I was gonna bring that up too. That whole thing where they really build up more of his lore of him being just this fucking beast of a man and him being strong, and you know when it takes TP and the head counselor, which I think is funny too. I want to bring that up. He pulls like a Steve Christie. He just disappears. He just leaves the movie. Takes off, and I was just like. The first thing I thought of was Steve Christie, and I was like, "Wow, he just pulled a Steve Christie on the group. He just fucking left them all by themselves and shit. It's fantastic. I love it."
So go play poker.
Yeah, I love that.
Playing poker.
But yeah, they build up that the thing with the axe and the stump, and nobody can move it. There's a bet if anybody can move it, no one can fucking ever win that bet because no one can ever even get it to budge out of that stump. But Madman does it with ease. No, he struggles a little bit, but he gets it because you can hear him thing and just And I did notice that scene, even on this DVD transfer, Madman's hands look so rubbery and just look like he's wearing gloves. It's hilarious, dude. I just think it's so funny.
I did find his feet to look a little ridiculous.
Yeah, even his feet look like that too. Yeah. I mean, I understand why it's costume.
His toenails look nasty as fuck.
Oh yeah, well, you know, he's a wild man. He's not out there getting pedicures and manicures and shit. So he's gonna have pretty gnarly feet and hands and just features. I love that his nose is like part of his nose is missing, and he just gnarly. He's a gnarly looking dude.
He looks very dusty too.
Yeah, very dusty. He's staying in the house, and that house is pretty dusty, man. So when they get into his lair, oh shit, it's fantastic. It's another thing I love is like you get into there's a lair in like a slasher movie where the bodies are set up and everything like that. I always get kudos from me for that. Big the shit out of it, but
I dug the shit out of the whole house. It just looked awesome.
Yeah, it did. The house was really creepy.
Mhm.
And I love that we keep intercutting to like Richie exploring and getting deeper and deeper into the
Do you
house.
think that he knew that Richie was there?
I don't think so. Yeah, I thought about that this time around. I'm like, he never really has any contact with Richie, or he never
No.
really like Richie never has a moment where he's like sees him and then runs away or tries to get away or this and that. They never really cross paths really. So yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. The
I
lead
do.
count, the
I
lead
do
count
like the. Oh, go
Max.
ahead.
That I just wanted to throw that out there. I did know his name, Max. Sorry, listeners. His name is
Max.
Max, head counselor. Yeah, that just disappears.
But I do like the scene where Richie's like wandering around the house, and Madman comes in, and then like in a split second he's out the door again.
Yeah,
I love seeing him like hobble across the fucking yard.
fucking
I
awful.
laugh every time he's like sprinting across this fucking yard. I'm like, get it, dude.
Yeah. I dig that. I dig that shit too. I did want to bring up that this movie reminded me a lot of Just Before Dawn. Got a lot of Just Before Dawn, but mainly because of the atmosphere, and
Yeah, I can see that.
atmosphere is everything to me in movies and horror. So when it's done well and it's done well, I can't give it more praise than that. But this movie does. It reminds me of, for some reason I thought about it this viewing. I was like, get a lot of Just Before Dawn vibes from this movie, and
Hmm.
I'm not complaining. I love that movie as well. So yeah, that's another one that's a winner for me. But yeah, that so when Dippy gets killed, we were kind of talking a little bit pregame how effective that jump scare is. It's not a cheap jump scare.
Hmm.
Um, it really set it up, and it's really effective. That's what I love. That's why I don't like cat jump scares, because it feels like a cheap jump scare just to throw it in there just to get this audience jumping. They don't earn it. They don't build it up. So I'm not a really big fan of those. But this one they did. It's an earned one, and I thought it was pretty good
Yeah.
because you don't see it coming, and it's so quick, and it's like, what, fuck it. Like if you turn away for a second, you're gonna miss what happens.
Hmm.
You're paying attention.
Yeah.
It rips out his throat. It's just fucking gnarly, man.
It looks really good.
It does. It looks great. Cool effect there.
Could you imagine how the effects would have been though? Had they gotten Tom Savini?
Oh yeah. Savini was so busy at that point, especially at that point in his career. Oh my
'Cause
god,
because at that point he was working on The Burning too, wasn't he?
he was on the
Around
burning.
because they both were basically being produced around the same time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been hard for him to pull. Yeah, the effects were done by Savini. I mean, of course, Savini did the effects in the Prowler. I mean, he's done so
Hmm.
many. Maniac, of course. I mean, so many effects. He was so busy at that time. Friday 13th, of course.
Oh, 80,
So
81, and 82, he was nonstop.
nonstop. I don't think that man slept from like 1980 to 1981. I don't think he was sleeping at all. I think he was sleeping nonstop. He was on the clock constantly.
Yeah.
So that's probably the busiest time of his career, honestly.
Hmm.
It had to have been. It had to have been. But yeah, his effects would have elevated so much. And I mean, the effects aren't bad in this. I mean, they're the effect with even simple things like TP when he's hanging, the effect of his discoloration of his face and the fact that he really looked like he was hanging, it was super good.
Mm.
I love that kill, by the way.
Yeah.
When, Madman throws the noose around him and he hangs him.
Yeah.
He's kind of like figuring like, hey, I can pry myself up and kind of catch my breath and stuff like that. But then it cuts to his belt buckle and Madman grabs it and pulls him down and his neck snaps. That's so cool, dude.
Yeah.
Gnarly as shit. Don't see it coming.
Like how he's,
You first see it, he's just gonna hang. It's gonna be a simple hanging kill, but
Yeah.
no, they add more to it.
yeah, because I think he could have got away with that or got away from it
Yeah, he was working.
had Madman not pulled his belt buckle.
Yeah, he was working on it. He was in the process of getting out of there.
Hmm.
But Madman's like, oh no, you don't, motherfucker! Snap, break your neck.
I really like how he pulled the rope across the tree like that and everything.
Yeah,
It was cool.
the tree. Yeah. Well, apparently, that actor Tony Fish actually was kind of going method there for a while. So he was actually really like strangling himself during that scene to make it look more authentic, which is
Wow.
pretty gnarly. I mean, yeah, I read that in the trivia. I'm like, dude, that's crazy, man. I would go
Ballsy.
that method where I'd be choking myself out, but that's it. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Can't do that these days.
No, hell no.
Rating system would be all over that.
Oh, dude, the studio heads would be all over that. Everyone, the
Mhm.
agents. No, that shit wouldn't fly at all.
No.
But yeah, man, there's a lot of things to love about this flick, man. It's such a small little slasher film, but it's the little engine that could of slasher films. It's just picks up steam, and then some scenes just derail it, and then it'll pick up steam again. And
Hmm.
that's my main issue with the movie is its flow. It just doesn't always flow. It stops in certain points, and then certain parts get slow. And I think that's mainly people's concern and criticism of this movie is there's a lot of slow parts in it.
Hmm.
To me, it kind of works though because it's building up the atmosphere. I like the atmosphere already, so I'm already hooked into it. So the slow parts don't really bother me too much. But
Yeah.
there's some scenes in particular, the hot tub scene, the editing of the kill scene, I don't like those. I could go without those for sure.
Hmm.
It's like I said, it is what it is. But the flow of the movie to me never really bothered me. Because I mean,
Yeah.
if you and you're sucked into it with the way the cinematography looks, it's very very atmospheric. Takes place all at night. I mean, you have the just being in the woods and then that blue lighting and stuff like that. I'm just completely zoned in. So that
Hmm.
flow part never really bothered. And I could see people's complaint about the characters. They're really kind of forgettable and there's not much there as being. They're not like Friday the 13th characters at all, where they're memorable and you get a lot of great dialogue and a lot of witty stuff from them. No, they're just kind of basic and they just kind of serve the purpose of just adding to the body count.
Yeah.
There's one scene where the guy, one of the counselors, is like talking crazy shit. He's like, "Oh, he's like, I think he's talking about I could hurt you guys right now, and you wouldn't even know." Or he was going on like a tangent. I'm like, "Well, this is kind of interesting. This is dialogue you don't really expect from a movie like this. They're kind of going a little off the rails there, but
Hmm.
that was the one little scene where they gave some characters a little bit of character. But like I said,
Yeah.
it's just kind of bland.
Yeah.
Including,
Well, and
I hate to talk shit about Galen Ross, but her being the final girl just does not work for me.
she wasn't the final girl.
Well, they set it up for her being the final girl.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, they already broke the barrier because she wasn't a virgin.
Right. She had the heroic moment where she's saving the kids and she's going to take out Madman and this and that. But to me, I don't flow with her. I mean, she just seemed, and it's not her. And maybe it's just the writing. I don't know. Just her dialogue. It's just she's not very memorable to me.
Hmm.
Other than the fact that she plays Fran in Dawn of the Dead, and I can't see her without thinking of Dawn of the Dead, which is, I mean,
Yeah.
in my mind, I just see her as Fran. So definitely not as interesting character as Fran. Fran has an arc in that movie, and she has character, and there's more to her. So that, to me, just brings it down to the writing and the dialogue that they wrote for her character, and it just doesn't work. Doesn't work. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. The writing was fun. I liked it. Concept is really cool. This whole film. So for me, that's where it comes from. The writing and the development of this film. I really just enjoy a lot about this film, and I feel that this film has a kind of a cult following.
Well,
And
yeah,
the reason why I say that is because, like right now, if you Google, so getting into collecting films, one of the first things I did was I made a list of films that I was going to look for. I believe you did the same thing. And
yeah.
I don't even keep up with that list anymore. That list is gone because I practically have everything on that list now. But I did, for zombie films, for slashers. if you Google the top 10 slasher films or the top 20 slasher films, either Madman is going to be number 1 and The Burning is going to be number 2, or The Burning is going to be number 1 and Madman's going to be number 2. So
Well,
they're right up there.
As far as like underrated ones, or just in general?
I've typed in like top 20 list of slasher films. This is within the first 5. This one falls in.
I was gonna say, because I find it's crazy to think that people would be rating it the second. You know,
Yeah, I mean, I have seen like some list where it's like the top 100s, and this is like number 2 or number 1.
Wow.
But then there's some of them. It's never past number 5 though.
Yeah,
I've seen.
I like it.
But it's always this one and The Burning, and usually they're right there.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Absolutely.
So early on in my collecting stages, I guess you would say, or life, because this has become a life. Yeah, I made lists and tried fulfilling them.
I remember making that list too, man. I made the list. Just of course, me being a junkie that I am with slasher movies, I want to own or watch every slasher film I can get my hands on, and every one that's ever been made, no matter how bad they are, no matter how shitty they have a reputation of. I have to check them out. I have to see them, because there's always that little nugget of you saying, "Hey, I found a hidden gem. I found a movie that just has been going." It's been swept under the rug so long, and it getting a new release or something like that's going to save it. It's going to be one of those things. Wow, a lot of people should be talking about this or something. I mean, there's a little nugget of that, but I just literally want to see every slasher film I can see. Yeah. And to your point, I made a list of a whole bunch of them. It had to have been like 25, 30 on my original list of, and Madman was on there, of course. I mean, I had the first one for me was Maniac. I had to track that down and watch that because of that poster art, and it just drew me straight into it. I'm like, I'm all about it, dude. I want to see this. I want to check this movie out. That was one of the first ones I remember writing on that list, and then Madman, of course. Don't Answer the Phone was on there. I mean, there was a lot of crazy stuff on there that you really wouldn't think of. I mean, The Prowler, of course. Burning. Me and you found The Burning, kind of similar, like a similar story with that. We kind of went into a little bit on the podcast before, but yeah, man, I think we both did that. And of course, this one's been on there. I've went through multiple editions of this. I have, the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray. I have, the Anchor Bay. I have the Code Red. And luckily enough for me, I found the Code Red at the flea market. So that was one of my biggest scores at the flea market. I couldn't believe I found a Code Red there. Found that and another movie that was on my list called The Forest at the flea market. And I bought them both at the same time from a guy that we know, Brian, or not Brian, my buddy Robert that used to sell movies up there. I bought them from him. And that's how I knew he was cool, is he had Code Reds for sale up there. I'm like, I never see anybody have Code Reds for sale. This is insane. But yeah, I bought those two and watched them. That was on my list too. So yeah, man, I've had quite a history with this movie throughout my journey of being a horror fan and just loving the genre so much. So yeah, this one's a special one in that regard for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, I can't say enough about it. I love this film.
Yeah, it's a good one, man. I think there's some things that drag it down a little bit, but they're more for me nitpicks than anything. I mean, it's just a couple of scenes I just would want to get removed completely, and then beefed up the characters a little bit to make them a little bit more memorable. It would have been more impactful for their deaths and stuff like that, because you really don't feel anything for them. I mean, especially the core group of counselors, that you really don't have any characters there. You get more out of TP than anything. You learn that TP's kind of a hothead. He's kind of like a egotistical dude that wants to prove himself to people, and you kind of get that from him, especially with that scene that we were talking about with the axe. He tells Max, he's like, Max, come here and give me a hand. We got to get this out. And Max is just like, they're struggling with it. And he's just like, man, sometimes you just got to cut your losses and and just give up. He's like, I can't give up. I can't lose. I can't fail. And this and that. So you kind of get a little bit of character from him. He's the type of dude that doesn't want to, especially when people are around, he has like an audience. He doesn't want to look like he's failing or he's not living up to his macho ego that he has. So you get most of the character comes just from TP, but he dies like really early in the movie. He's one of the first characters to die. So it's like, well, shit, the character that you do give a lot of character is one of the first ones to go. As characters that, and I think that's one of the problems, man. It kind of chose the wrong characters to keep around, and I mean for the majority of the movie. But TP to me has more character than anybody, even our quote unquote final girl.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Yeah. Yeah. TP. I don't know, man. I dug him.
Yeah,
but back to what you were saying though, the whole, like I said, the only beef that I have with this entire film is the editing. I feel that there was scenes in there that really just didn't need to be in there. They serve no purpose whatsoever, other than slowing down the runtime. Seems like.
Yeah, what it effectively did. And that's why a lot of people's criticism of the slower pace and that's and that. I mean, a lot of it has to do with the editing and what they decided to keep in and what they decided to kind of like just go with and or cut. There's and I don't know, I can't remember on different versions of the movie because I've seen a couple different versions, but the one guy, he's in the truck with his girlfriend, the girl that hid in the refrigerator, and he gets pulled out of the truck by Madman. And in some prints, you don't really see, like some editions, you don't really see his death, but he gets kind of like his back broken, kind of like a Friday the 13th kind of kill where he's just getting his back snapped and quite the same way. But you know, you think of course of Jason doing that to Sheriff. That was fucking gnarly. One of the coolest kills. But yeah, and in some scene or in some editions of the movie, that scene's just completely cut out and you don't see it. And it's like, fuck, man, see that kill. Because for me, he's one of the more, you know, forgettable kills because you kind of hear the snapping, but you don't really see anything. So it's like, kind of forgettable. The guy getting decapitated with the axe when Madman's chasing him, that was fucking awesome. He's falling over the trees and stuff like that. Madman finally catches up to him and chops his head off. It's really cool. And then the after effect with his head decapitated and shit like that. I actually used that image as my avatar thing for YouTube for the longest time, which was with the blue on it and stuff like that. It just looked gnarly and looked cool. So I was like, that's cool. I like that. So I used that image for a while. But yeah, that scene was pretty cool. It was a good kill. There's some pretty decent kills in this movie, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah.
What is your favorite kill?
If I had to pick one, I'm such a sucker for. It's been done before, but I'm such a sucker for the axe going into the girl, and just the way it looked, and then of course the shotgun blast. Oh man, that scene is so cool, so gnarly. I do like the trunk decapitation though. That one's pretty sick too. So it's a toss up between those two, but for me right now, I'm just gonna have to go with the axe to the chest. I love that one. What about you, man?
I like TP.
TP, that one's good too. And I like the Dippy one with the neck getting ripped out. That's pretty cool. I always really found that effective.
I just like the you know, like we were talking about earlier, how he was like trying to fight and he was actually lifting himself up. Yeah. And then Madman was like no remorse and he was just like
the sound that was edited was so gnarly. It's like a horrible crack. It's so effective though.
It really was.
I'm with you, man. I dig that one too. It's effective. Just the lead up to it is so effective. I do wish there was more of a final chase with at the end. I'm a sucker for a final chase, and I love that in the slasher. That's why Friday the 13th is my favorite franchise and my favorite slasher franchise in general because they have great final chases in them. I love that stuff, but in this one you don't really have one. But the fact that they had the balls to kill the final girl was fucking great. I love that.
Mm.
Not a lot of movies, especially around that time, had the stones to do that. They kind of
Follow
through.
the same. Follow the same. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess lore tradition.
Same tradition, yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping it pretty standard in in that regard.
But then they broke the law, made Richie your final guy.
Well, I always wondered that because that's another thing that bugged me for the longest time is like Richie kind of started all this shit and he never gets killed. I'm like, what the fuck? Man? Like it's his fault all this shit's going on in my mind. And some people that watch it, they'll think, hey, this is the guy that started it all. He's the one that was talking shit. Why didn't he get his muppets in the end? But then so they were discussing at one point, and I did read this, that they were discussing a sequel to this when we were talking about earlier. Why it was never made, who knows? I don't know. Stuff fell through with the studios. I don't know. But supposedly the sequel was that Richie was going to be framed for all the murders. And when he got taken to jail or something like that, Madman was going to follow. And that was supposed to be the lead up into a sequel, but it never really came to be and it never really happened. So it kind of changed my perspective on Richie and what happens to him at the end, where he's basically found at the end, and he's just talking about Madman Mars, and he's just staring like that 1,000-yard stare, just completely shocked and just completely blown away with what he's seen. And it would have been cool to see, him get his comeuppance and him get a gnarly kill, but the fact that they were going to frame him for the murders, or that it was going to set up to where he was going to take the blame for it, would have been pretty cool too. And maybe he would have gotten killed off in the sequel. Who knows? I don't know. The fact that it never happened, I mean, kind of it is what it is. But I did read that, I think, on IMDb, so that was pretty interesting. I say this a lot too, but I want to listen to a commentary on Madman. I've seen the movie so much, I can pop in a commentary and really get more information and hear more stuff. I don't know who would. I think the director's passed away, sadly. I think so. Yeah. But maybe hear one from from Paul Ehlers, the guy that plays Madman. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, I can see that. That would be fun.
I know there was something cool where his wife was in labor during the production of the movie while they were shooting, and he went to the hospital in full Madman attire to be there for the birth of his son. So that's pretty cool. Love little tidbits of that's pretty cool. Pretty. But yeah, I dig it, man. I love this. I mean, I really do enjoy this movie. It's not nearly as bad as people claim it to be. I know people shit on it a lot. It's crazy. Like you were saying, people hold it in high regards, and then some people really shit on it. No, like middle ground for it. It's like one of two extremes. But to me, it's always been a fun one. I think a couple of things could have elevated to being one of the upper echelon, but because scenes are in there and there's kind of weak characters, and then the final girl, you don't really vibe with her, which I don't personally. Some other people might, I don't know, but I don't. There's a couple of nicks in the armor of Madman, but all in all, it's a fun flick. I have fun with it every time I watch it. There's never a moment where I'm watching and I'm like completely bored out of my mind. Why do I put myself through this? Why do I watch this movie? No, I enjoy it every time.
Yeah, just like I said, the only thing that, like I said, my biggest beef is that whole hot tub scene. I think that could have been scrapped.
Yeah,
that's where as an audience member you could really just kind of lose focus and not want to finish the film.
Yeah,
but everything starts going pretty rapid towards the end, and I love that.
Yeah. They get the kids out of there on the bus, and that whole thing is it's pretty interesting. You don't see that a lot, but yeah, our final girl decides to kind of take Madman on and take a gun. I love when she shoots the gun. She's like, oh shit, like she's surprised, like you could tell she's never fired a shotgun before. So it's like, whoa, shit, that had a lot of people didn't expect all that. I dig that moment, that little tiny little moment. It was really, really well done. But yeah, she gets fucked up at the end though. Madman really messes her up. You don't expect her to be kind of hung up on those hooks, and it's like, oh wow.
Do you think what did the original Texas do that?
Yeah, oh yeah,
I wonder if it was inspired by that
maybe.
that scene.
Yeah, Pam, dude. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
could have been.
could have been.
One thing that I really like is the fact that the I can't remember. Does she realize that Richie's in the basement?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Richie's just kind of like doing his own thing throughout the whole movie. No one really.
She really fights for her life there towards the end and like just straight up stabs the piss out of Madman.
Yeah, she gets him. Like she does. She gets a nick on him. Like she doesn't go down without a fight completely.
Hmm. So
But she,
I dug that. I like the fact that Madman fell down and started a fire. And again, I was like, oh, the burning.
yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know, there's a lot of similarities there, but at the same time, it wasn't. So I just found that very interesting.
Same way it was his own thing.
Hmm. But I like the fact that the whole place was like going up in flames at that point.
Yeah,
Well,
Madman.
you don't really see the house catch on fire, do you?
No, I mean you get the shot of Madman, and you get the really good shot of his face in that moment because, like I said, they do a lot of silhouette stuff and a lot of in the
Hmm.
shadows, so you don't really get a clear view of his face and what it looks like. So in that moment, you get to see him really well.
Hmm.
Um, to completely tell it's a mask because it's the way it's the eyes and stuff like that. When you see the latex around it, like you can
Yeah.
tell it's a mask, but it doesn't bother me at all. It's so cool just to see him, and I just can't get over like the little bit of his top of his nose is gone. They keep that attention to detail. It's really cool, and he kind of looks around and everything on fire. And he's like, he does that little snarl that and Madman has his own snarl too. He's got his own unique sound.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, very. What would you say, grunty?
grunt. I kind of is like a snarl to me.
Yeah.
At the end of it. So to me, I just think of it as a snarl. But yeah, he kind of makes his own little noises, and he's his own character, man. He's a slasher villain. He's got his
It
own
really
little
is.
quirks and stuff like that. He's got his signature weapon, the axe. I
Hmm.
mean, you see it in the poster. You see, which I love. They get the poster shot in the movie of him with the axe and him walking towards somebody, and it's the poster shot. So it's like that's cool.
Hmm.
I love that. I mean, it's a fun movie, man. It really is. If you're
Yeah.
hardcore, if you're a really really big slasher junkie like me and you are, you're gonna watch this movie a lot. And it's hard to kind of recommend for people that are kind of jumping into slasher films. I wouldn't start with Madman. Kind of wait a little bit and kind of tread the waters before you jump into one like this. But for people that love slashers, I mean, this is a fun
Right
watch.
up your alley. Yeah.
100%.
And it's not that expensive to own either, I don't believe.
Well,
Is the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, is that pricey now?
I don't know. It's an older release from them, so I don't know if it's going out of print or anything. But for the
Yeah.
longest, it wasn't. It was pretty reasonably priced on Amazon, and you can get it, of course, from Vinegar Syndrome. I don't know if they still have any copies available. They've had so many sales since then. I don't know if they have any more available. It's probably sold out, but I
I
don't
think
think it'd be hard to track down a copy of Madman.
yeah. I think when I first bought it, it was well, I'm wanting to say it was the Blu-ray, and it was just like literally had been released that week, and I picked it up, and it was like I believe it was like close to $30.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was like but I mean, it's
Brand.
Vinegar Syndrome,
Yeah. Yeah. Their prices are so good now, man. They're
Hmm.
just killing it right now. They're top of the game right now, man. They're just
Oh
releasing
yeah,
so much shit. The prices are always fair. They're always always good. Even before their sales are really affordable, and then their shipping is just impressive as hell. They get shit to you so fast, man. It's
yeah.
crazy.
I
But
have to check into that.
yeah, tangent over. Well, not tangent, but just side note over. That's yeah. Um, I don't have much to say else, man. I think we've covered just about everything I can cover on it. If you got anything else on it.
No, I think like I said, I think we covered it.
Yeah, pretty went by scene to scene, favorite scene could have been. Yeah. You ready for ratings? Ready to land it? Land
Yeah,
it?
we can rate it.
Yeah. All right.
You want me to go first, or you got it?
I mean, it's up to you. I can go first if you want. That's no problem.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, cool. So Madman, like I said, I really enjoy this movie. I have a long history with this one. Watched it quite a few times. The things that work for me are the things that work for me and what I look for in typical slasher films, which is a killer that's stalking. A cool looking killer with Madman is not wearing a mask, of course, but the actor is himself. He has a signature weapon. Kills are pretty cool. Not too over the top or not too crazy with the blood and gore, but effective at the same time. Like I said, atmosphere to me is everything. So you get so much great atmosphere in this movie. It's fantastic. I really enjoy it. The knocks on me are just that TP hot tub scene. I can't stand that scene, man. I almost like want to fast forward it every time. I never fast forward through movies when I watch them, but every time that scene pops up, I'm tempted to hit that fast forward button. And then I hate that they did what they did in the beginning, where they edited in the kills throughout the movie while they're doing the campfire story. I can't. I don't know why they did that. I get why they did it. They tried to make the runtime reach a certain point, but I hate that was the decision that they made to make it happen. Kind of wish they didn't do that. I wish our final girl was more memorable. I wish there was a chase scene. Wish we had a final girl chase scene. I don't remember. I don't remember.
That would have been cool.
I think our final girl there was a nude scene there. Not too much nudity in this, not over the top gratuitous nudity in this, which is something you get in a lot of slasher films. So that's it's kind of not prevalent in this one. But like I said, this one's more atmospheric and it kind of wants to be a little bit more, I wouldn't say classy, but wants to be a little bit more approachable for the mainstream audience, if that makes any sense at all. I'm sure the MPAA was, I don't know how they were around like a movie like this. I don't know if they were really chopping up everything. I guess they chopped up that one kill scene with the guy breaking his back and stuff like that. They kind of edited maybe for the rating that it got. But yeah, I mean, this is a solid movie, man. It's always been a solid movie to me. I give it a 4 out of 5.
That's good. Yeah. I'm actually right there with you. 4 out of 5 for me too. And it comes down to, like you said, could have done away with that whole hot tub scene, and like you said, the overall intro, where they're singing and you're seeing all the kill scenes. That way, I didn't like that, so that's entering spoiler territory. And I wasn't a fan of that. However, the whole lost my train of thought a little bit. The silhouette is amazing. I love seeing the silhouette of him. The cinematography is really well done. I don't know what the budget is for this film, but they made it work. It's only a handful of locations. I love that. They kept it very simple. I thought that, editing wise could have been a little bit better. And that's my only beef with this film, with this film really. So, 4 out of 5 for me as well. Plus the ending sequence where the house burning. I love that. Well, not the house wasn't burning, the room caught on fire, and like the shit was hitting the fan in there. I really enjoyed that.
Candle that fell over when Madman got spotted, knocked the candle over and stuff like that's what it is. So.
Yeah, he fell backwards, the candle fell. I love that. I love everything about this film other than the editing. I think the editing could have been
my major gripe with it. My major gripe with it is the editing and those scenes that could have been taken out.
Mm-hmm.
I just hate the kills in the beginning. Like a spoiler, like
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to see that happen at the beginning. You want to see it happen throughout the movie. You don't know, I don't know why they did that. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
yeah.
overall, uh, the body count. I like the fact that, and we were both kind of stumped, at first because the body count we really, I think what you said 6 at first, didn't you? Or
Uh,
I don't know, maybe you were just thinking 6 at first or something, but we were talking about it pre-game and 10 total.
in total. Well, with
Mm.
they say Madman is 11, so
Yeah, but it was
yeah.
victims deaths
I'm
was 10.
looking at the villain's tally because he is the slasher, so I'm really
Hmm.
looking at his tally more than anything.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those films that you could sit down and, with a friend and have fun with,
oh yeah.
minus TP's belt buckle.
I'm pretty sure me and you have watched this movie on a movie night. We sat down and watched it before on a movie night. So
We did, and I honestly, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe we watched this film and we watched The Burning the same night as well.
yeah, I think you're right. We've had a
So
double night.
yeah, it was like a double feature with the two, which is a perfect combination, really.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
I just think that the Burning kind of outshines Madman with the characters. The characters are so much more memorable in the Burning than they are
Oh,
in Madman.
they are. This film was chock full of expendable characters,
Yeah,
really.
it's not characters. Yeah.
Hmm.
Which I mean, there's plenty of slasher films. That's to me is a nitpick on the movie. I don't really critique it that hard because for
Yeah.
me, there's a bunch of slasher movies I love that have boring characters that get killed off. It doesn't really. Now, a slasher film will be elevated by interesting characters for sure, like with the Friday the 13th series, as a whole, and then My Bloody Valentine. Those characters are great.
Hmm.
Um, they elevate these slasher movies to me that make them like top tier. You have everything you'd want in a slasher plus really cool characters. That just like a perfect cocktail of a good slasher movie. So
Yeah.
to me, those are like upper echelon. And Madman's it's it's close, but it hasn't really made it to that point. And I've
Hmm.
always enjoyed it, but never completely like loved it and considered it one of the greatest of all time. And I don't think I ever will, just because there's just certain things I just can't look past as my personal preferences. I just can't look past it. I don't like, one of my big things with movies is I don't like movies that have like, they kind of chalk up the end of the movie in the beginning and they kind of show you what's going to happen before it even gets to that point. I can't stand when movies do that. I've always hated that. So that's never really going to change for me. So Madman's never really going to break that plateau for me because
Hmm.
that edit in there is just completely just soils it for me. So, but it's also a great time. I sit down and watch it, and I enjoy the stalking and the kills and the atmosphere. The atmosphere is the big thing. If you take anything from us listeners from us talking about this one, it's atmosphere with this one.
Really
You will
is.
get the hell out of it.
Hmm. It really is. Even just the shots alone where he's running from the barn, that's very atmospheric. But I just what sets the atmosphere for me is the silhouettes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that what draws me in for the atmosphere though. But yeah. Well, you got anything else you want to add?
I don't think so, man. I think we covered just about all we could with this one. So it's
Hmm.
nice to get this one in. Good topic, man, or a good movie to check out, and us
We've been
to
we've been kind of
get. We were going to get to it eventually, and I'm just
yeah.
glad we crossed it off our list and we've gotten to it. So
I'd say we've been kind of bouncing around the idea of doing this one for a minute now.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm just glad we finally did it.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. We're getting a lot of those classics out. We of course haven't hit the major, my personal favorite franchise of all time, Friday the 13th. to me is just intimidating as fuck. Because I honestly don't know what I could bring to that will differentiate anything that anyone's ever talked about.
Mhm.
People have dissected those films. Well, in general, horror films that are classics, and people have dissected them and torn them apart and not torn them apart like in a negative way, but just piece by piece talked about every little thing that happens. I mean,
Mhm.
you just bring in your personal experiences and your personal preferences when you're watching a movie, and that's what makes it so personable and
Yeah.
makes it good. So maybe we can do that when we get into those heavy hitters. Talk about our history with them. Um, you know, first time we've seen them, when we first thought about, when we first heard about them. The list goes on. We'll get to that eventually, but
Mhm.
it's cool hitting ones like this out the gate first, then working our way up to those bad boys that eventually we're going to recover.
Oh yeah.
As intimidating as it's going to be, we're going to get to them.
I can't wait. I look forward to it.
Same here, man. I'm both nervous and excited at the same time.
Definitely. We'll have to do like a whole month. No, probably more than that. A couple months on Friday the 13th alone.
I was thinking, when people bring up that, the next couple of months spell out Jason, I was thinking one year we go through Jay, from July to November and cover the Friday the 13th series.
I like that idea.
Make it spell out Jason. I mean, that would just to me that just seems like a great idea that we can kind of build up, because there's going to be a build up. We're not just going to want to do one epic show. We're going to want to build it up and dissect them and go through the franchise and really, really make it happen. Now we'll kind of figure out how that works as far as how many we're going to cover to stretch it out to make it work, but I'm sure we'll come up with something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I was tooling around that idea over the week, and I was like, let me bring that up to Corey, see what he thinks about it.
I like it.
I think
I like it.
that'd be pretty dope.
Oh yeah. And well, real quick, not to get off subject, but folks, we're sorry if we spoiled this film for you in any way, shape, or form. We didn't really do a disclaimer or anything. But if you watch the first 5 seconds, you'll get spoiled immediately, so it's okay.
Right.
However, I didn't check where you could watch this film. I know you can watch it on YouTube, actually.
Yeah. I think at one point you could watch it on Shudder. I don't know if it's still on Shudder or not, but pretty sure it was Shudder for a long time.
Yeah. I don't know if it's on Tubi. I didn't check. So maybe I'll check into that and then put a little tidbit out for everyone to watch it before they watch the show on the Facebook group. But yeah, you ready to land it, man?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Alrighty. Well, folks, we appreciate having you. We appreciate you sticking with us and watching this episode. And we hope that you guys enjoyed our review on Madman from 1981. And let us know what you think. Let us know what your thoughts are on the comments. And head over to our Facebook group and start up a conversation. Who's seen this film? Who hasn't? Who's watched this film prior to watching this review? That'd be great. Like I said, I know it's on YouTube. I don't know where else it could be. Tony says it might be on Shudder. So just head over to those platforms, look at them, see if they're there, and make sure you tell a friend. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe this episode. And like I said before, just head over to our Facebook group and just join in on the fun and conversation.
Yeah.
And Tony, you got anything?
No, I'd love to hear people's thoughts on this one. Where they fall in line. Like I said, for the majority of people, it's like people either really, really love it or really, really dislike it. So
Yeah.
it'd be kind of cool to see where people come out on this one if they've seen it before. If you haven't seen it before and you check it out based on our review, I hope we didn't spoil too much. I hope you guys knew going in that we when we talk about a movie, we talk about a film, we go into spoilers heavy. So just a disclaimer for anybody we definitely do that. But yeah, just getting people's opinions on it. If they've seen it before, if they have a cool story of when they saw it when they were younger, and they vague memory of it, and then it's like, wow, I've been looking for this movie for a long time. Couldn't remember the name of the movie, the title. Because I mean, Madman it could be a generic title. I mean, that could go for a lot of films. I mean, it's a title that doesn't really stand out, but for me, the Madman Mars, it stands out based on what this film is and the character himself. So yeah, just getting people's opinions on it would be great, dude. I'd love to get into a discussion, which we've done before on the Facebook group. So, like I said, if anyone's got any opinions or anything like that, throw them out there. We'll collaborate and talk about them. And to me, that's always the fun of it. We talk about movies. We have fun talking about movies. We have some fun talking about movies with our listeners and our supporters. So I'm always down for that. If you guys want to come in and drop some knowledge and drop some comments down, please feel free to do so.
Definitely. Well, with that, folks, we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yep.
Later, guys.
Later, guys.